Imagine cracking open a bag of your favorite roasted peanuts, savoring that satisfying crunch and nutty flavor, only to hear a whisper that this humble snack might secretly be fueling something far more sinister inside your body. It sounds like the plot of a thriller, but it's rooted in real science. A few years back, researchers uncovered a surprising twist in the story of peanuts, one that sent ripples through nutrition circles and left many people wondering whether their go-to snack was friend or foe. The truth, as it often is, lies somewhere in the middle, but it's far more fascinating than a simple yes or no. Peanuts have long worn a health halo. They are packed with protein, loaded with heart-friendly fats, and brimming with nutrients that support everything from brain function to blood sugar control. For decades, dietitians and doctors have pointed to nuts, including peanuts, as a smart choice for anyone looking to eat well without sacrificing taste. But then came a study that turned the spotlight on a little-known compound hiding inside every peanut, a substance called peanut agglutinin. This naturally occurring protein does not break down easily during digestion. In fact, under very specific and extreme conditions, it can slip into the bloodstream almost intact. Once in the blood, peanut agglutinin has a peculiar talent. It latches onto the inner lining of blood vessels. This might not sound alarming at first, but here's where things get complicated. That binding action appears to trigger a chain reaction, stirring up certain signaling molecules tied to inflammation. And chronic inflammation, as modern medicine has increasingly shown, is like kindling for cancer. It does not cause cancer on its own, but it can create an environment where existing cancer cells find it easier to grow, move, and spread. The study that first raised this red flag used an amount of peanuts so large it would be unusual for anyone to eat it in one sitting. Think of devouring an entire bag meant to last a week, all in a single afternoon. Under those exaggerated conditions, enough peanut agglutinin entered circulation to produce measurable effects in lab models. But here's the crucial part most headlines missed: real life is not a laboratory. The human digestive system is remarkably efficient at dismantling complex proteins like peanut agglutinin before they ever reach the bloodstream. When you eat a normal handful of peanuts, as most people do, the vast majority of this compound gets broken down into harmless amino acids, just like any other protein. It never gets the chance to interact with blood vessels or stir up trouble. So while the science behind the concern is legitimate, the actual risk for everyday peanut lovers is vanishingly small. In fact, when scientists look at large populations over time, the data tells a different story altogether. People who regularly eat nuts, including peanuts, tend to live longer, healthier lives. They have lower rates of heart disease, better cholesterol profiles, and even reduced risks of certain cancers. This paradox, how a food can contain a compound with concerning lab properties yet still be linked to better health outcomes, highlights a fundamental truth about nutrition: context is everything. Foods are not just collections of isolated chemicals, they are complex ecosystems of nutrients that work together. The fiber, antioxidants, and healthy fats in peanuts may actually counterbalance or neutralize any potential downsides from compounds like peanut agglutinin. That said, there are moments when caution makes sense. For someone already battling cancer, especially aggressive or advanced forms, the body is in a delicate state. Inflammation is already heightened, and the immune system is under immense strain. While there is no solid proof that eating peanuts worsens outcomes in human patients, the theoretical possibility is enough for some oncology teams to suggest moderation or even temporary avoidance during active treatment. It is not about fear, it is about minimizing every possible variable that could interfere with healing. A far more concrete danger, however, lurks not in the peanut itself but in how it is stored. Peanuts grow underground, making them especially vulnerable to mold. Certain molds produce invisible toxins called aflatoxins, some of the most potent natural carcinogens known to science. Long-term exposure to even small amounts of aflatoxin has been strongly tied to liver cancer, particularly in regions where food safety standards are less strict. In countries with robust agricultural oversight, commercial peanut products are rigorously tested for these toxins, making contamination rare. But loose peanuts from unknown sources, or those stored in warm, humid conditions at home, can become breeding grounds for dangerous mold. A single moldy peanut might not cause immediate harm, but repeated exposure over time is a genuine health risk. The lesson here is simple: always inspect your nuts. If they smell off, look discolored, or taste bitter, toss them out. When it comes to peanuts, freshness is not just about flavor, it is a matter of safety. So where does this leave the average person reaching for a midday snack? Right where they started, with peanuts as a perfectly reasonable, even beneficial, part of a balanced diet. The key is moderation and mindfulness. Eating a small portion daily is unlikely to cause harm and may very well do good. Binging on massive quantities, especially of raw or unprocessed peanuts, is unnecessary and could, in theory, tip the scales in an unfavorable direction. But that is true of almost any food. Even water can be dangerous in extreme excess. What makes this story compelling is not the scare, it is the reminder that nutrition is rarely black and white. Foods are not inherently good or evil. They carry both gifts and quirks, benefits and caveats. Peanuts exemplify this beautifully. They offer protein for muscle repair, healthy fats for brain health, and plant compounds that fight oxidative stress. At the same time, they contain a lectin that, under wildly unrealistic conditions, shows biological activity that warrants scientific curiosity. But curiosity is not condemnation. Science thrives on asking, what if, but wisdom lies in understanding, how likely. The real takeaway is not to fear peanuts but to respect them, as you would any whole food. Choose quality over quantity. Store them properly. Enjoy them as part of a varied diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other nutrient-dense foods. And remember that no single food holds the power to make or break your health. It is the pattern of your choices over time that shapes your well-being. In a world full of sensational headlines and quick-fix diets, the story of peanuts teaches us patience. It invites us to look beyond the initial alarm and dig deeper into the science, the context, and the bigger picture. Sometimes the most ordinary foods hold the most extraordinary lessons, not about danger, but about balance, discernment, and the quiet wisdom of eating well without fear. So go ahead, enjoy your peanuts. Just keep the bag sealed, the portion sensible, and your perspective grounded in facts, not fear. Thanks for watching. If you found this deep dive into peanuts helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another science-backed look at the foods we eat every day. Drop a comment below. Have you ever worried about your favorite snacks? What should we unpack next? Stay curious, eat mindfully, and remember, when it comes to health, the truth is almost always in the details. See you in the next video.